Alrighty then. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of My Orchid Adventures with me, Maria Young. And here I am today. You guys caught me just maxing and relaxing, enjoying my atmosphere, my orchids, and of course my yummy cup of tea in my MOA, My Orchid Adventures, the Mission Never Ends cup. And I have to tell you, this is my favorite cup right here because it just totally reminds me of how beautiful my world is with some of the orchids that I've captured over this year 2017. And those are just my beautiful orchids. And of course, with my motto, the mission statement, the mission never ends. Whether it be your personal life or your life as an orchid grower, you guys know exactly what I mean because the mission never does end. And I know you guys have noticed these very funky glasses, haven't you? Well, indeed, there is a reason why I am wearing these glasses, and there is great symbolism as well. Because if you take a close look, can you guys see that? Can you guys see just how reflective these glasses are? They are doing some very serious reflecting, and that is exactly what I'm doing right now as well. I am doing some serious reflecting over the year 2017 because I have endured so much, but you know what? I endured some experiences that were good, some experiences that were bad, and you know what? We put them all together, right? And you guys know what we have, the facts of orchid life. That's just the way it is. We move forward regardless. Of course, we hit speed bumps along the way that slow us down, but after we hit those speed bumps, we hit the ground running and we are on the go again. Nothing stops us and the mission never ends. So in this episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to share with you some of the highlights of this year, regardless if they are good or bad. I'm going to share them with you. And I have to tell you, I had to debate about that because let's just say that it got a little bit emotional there, and there's a lot of intimate pieces of the puzzle that I was not quite sure if I was ready to share. I definitely did not want to shed a tear or two or three or four on film, and I definitely did not want to do the ugly cry because you guys don't want to see me doing the ugly cry, trust me. But you know what, folks? I think I'm ready. I'm all set to go. We are leaving the year 2017, going into a new year, which is the year 2018. And of course, we have so many great expectations in that year. So indeed, we progress forward with all that we have. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do our orchid reflections for 2017. Okay, so let's go ahead and tackle the hardest subject first. Let's go ahead and start off this orchid reflection with a bang. The most painful experience that I had in the year 2017 has got to be with Hurricane Irma and its recovery process. Right after Hurricane Irma, many of you guys had noted that I had not posted any videos in regards to Hurricane Irma. And as a matter of fact, when I did start posting videos, I really strayed away from the topic and I didn't get into any major details. And as you can see, my garden paradise has really been terrorized by come in here. And for the longest time, there was even a time period where I was not posting any orchid videos. And I have to tell you, I was in a great recovery process. Not only in trying to get my orchids and my garden back in order, But I was also in a recovery process in the sense of I was trying to get myself emotionally together, because internally Hurricane Irma had hit me as well. Because I literally lost 10 orchids throughout the ordeal. And in my effort to try to keep them safe from Hurricane Irma, I actually put them in harm's way. I put them in my garage to, of course, avoid Hurricane Irma, but unbeknownst to me was the fact that it actually got a whole lot hotter than what some of my orchids could tolerate. So in essence, it baked some of my orchids. And that really caused me some suffering. An orchid lover, an orchid grower, someone who is passionate about their orchids, you already know, really hits them to the core of their heart when they lose their orchids. But then to know that you lost your orchids because of something that you did, I think that's even far worse. And the reason why they remained in my garage for about like 3 days is because my orchid garden was in shambles. I had major branches from my orchid tree that were littered throughout my garden. A lot of my plants were blown over. I actually literally have roots that are now protruding, coming out of the ground, where I even have a hard time walking around my garden without tripping. So Hurricane Irma did some damage physically to my garden as well, in the aspect of it changed the face of how my orchid garden looks, and it also changed the face of how I now grow my orchids. Because now, because of the branches that have been broken, I have to be creative in hanging them up. It's taken a lot of hanging space away from me, and I'm finding that I'm staggering and I'm stacking all of my orchids together, and that's a frustration within itself. And looking through my garden, it got to the point where it was just even frustrating for me to even just enjoy my orchids. I really couldn't enjoy my orchids for quite a while, and I literally avoided even coming into my orchid garden. I no longer considered it an orchid paradise of peace. It was just a total clutter for me, and I didn't even want to be around my orchids. The only time that I came into my garden, of course, was to water and briefly care for my orchids, but other than that, I would not spend any time enjoying my garden. And it wasn't until one day I came into my garden and I finally decided to really inspect my orchids and really check them out. And surprisingly, I was so overwhelmed to see many of my orchids now growing their roots so healthy. The foliage and the leaves were just now green and thriving. And then there were new growth and keikis, and you know, it just really shocked me to know what my orchids had gone through and to still be able to thrive, to know that they understood their purpose regardless, and that they were going to push forth no matter what they had went through, and they were going to do what they were destined to do, and that's to give beauty to this world. And I had to take a step back and remove myself out of the equation, because while I was sulking, while I was having an orchid temper tantrum, I had to realize, you know, I thought I was the one suffering, when in fact it was my orchids that had suffered. But they looked and could see beyond their suffering and realized their greater purpose. So at that time, I really think that was a huge awakening for me, and it really was the alarm clock that woke me up to realize that I had to get beyond what I was going through at that moment, and had to see the bigger picture and still realize what my purpose was, and to try to bring about as much beauty as I could into the world. And that, I have to tell you, was one of the greatest learning experiences for me. And that is why my orchids really give me so much inspiration. There is just an endless amount of things that we can learn from our orchids. And I have to tell you, just be open to enjoying your orchids, and you will begin to see the true beauty of what they bring. Okay, so one of the reasons why we reflect back to the past is definitely to see where we have come from and to see how far we have gone, and of course to envision the future and then to have some even greater expectations. So the next orchid experience that I had was the time where I decided to spread my wings and fly. And it took a lot of boldness and courage to go beyond all that you've ever known and to actually venture into a world of the unknown, where everything is unexpected, where nothing is within your control. But to have the heart of heart to know that you are doing the right thing, because for once in your life you're capable of fully pursuing and chasing after your dreams and your visions. So let me give you a little backdrop so you can better understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I had been at a job for going on 19 years. Okay, that's like all of my adult life right there. And that is all that I ever had known. But I also knew deep within inside that I was lacking, that I was missing, that I was out of my element, because the job that I had, I was stagnant. I really felt like my hands were tied behind my back, where I was not fully capable of doing what God had put me here to do. And it took a while for me, 19 long years, okay, for me to finally realize there's got to be something more. And funny as it may be, my orchids played a very strong part in finally stepping out on that limb and believing in myself, my dreams, and my visions. And the job that I had at some points in my life, I did really compare it as a prison, where I was locked away and I was never capable of reaching my fullest and greatest potential. Because the job that I was at really had no room for growth or expansion. But not only that, I was one of the lowest paid employees there. And there was a whole lot of politicking going on and a whole lot of favoritism, and even that alone weighs a lot on your spirit. Definitely a negative environment, one that was not nurturing to your own dreams, to your own fulfillment and satisfaction. So I was at a job where I felt like my hands were tied. I was outside of my element. I could never become who I always knew that I could be. I knew I had so many creative talents and abilities and whatnot, and all they needed was a warm body to fill that position. And I had discovered an opportunity, or you know what, I'm gonna retract that. I did not discover an opportunity, but God had opened an opportunity up for me where I could have that platform to showcase my talents, my abilities, the very things that He had instilled in me. And He also was generous in the fact that, you know, He also cares about the desires of your heart. And He took what I was passionate about and allowed me the opportunity to even expand upon that. That He actually allowed me the opportunity to have something that I love and something that I'm so passionate about, and be capable of utilizing the talent that He has given me to expand on and to actually make it a career and something that I could be successful in. So, you know, this was the year that I stepped out and I took that leap of faith and said that, you know what, I don't care what's beyond those doors, even if I have to confront and face the unknown. It's so much better than having to be complacent with the known. The fact of knowing that you are willing to settle for less. You know, and that's not something that I was willing to do. I could not live with regrets and die 1,000 deaths, never knowing what my true potential was. And I would much rather venture out into the unknown and discover territories and perhaps even take off limitations and at least try. Even if I did not succeed, I've already become successful. in the fact that I was able to step beyond the norm and actually go after and chase after my dreams. So in this essence, I have no regrets. I was very thankful that God put in me the ability to see beyond the right now and to envision into the future and know that there is so much more. Is it easy to go after your dreams? I mean, to completely sever and cut those ties of all that you've ever known, to go beyond the logics and begin to understand that absolutely anything and everything is possible if you believe in yourself and your dreams and your vision, that you are capable of doing exactly what you say that you can do. Whatever you think is what you will become, and whatever you say about yourself, your future, and your dreams is exactly what you will bring about. And that is one of the greatest experiences, again, that I was able to discover through the love of my orchids. Ooh-wee! Now, didn't I tell you guys that we were going to be doing some serious reflecting? And indeed, that is what we've been doing. And I do have to admit, it did get pretty hot and heavy here. But I think it's time to turn down the temperature just a little bit and lighten up the load. So what we're going to be doing now is talking to you guys about my happy moments, my thrilling moments, and indeed, the moments that were my highlights in the year 2017. But before we do that, I do want to say one last and final word, because I believe this is so important for us to know, especially in the most darkened moments of our lives. I want to let you guys know that it is not all about the things that have happened to us, but in fact, it is all about how we respond, how we react, how we recover, how we bounce back, how we get back on our feet, and how we progress forward. Because I believe that everything that has happened to us for a certain reason and a purpose. And that rainy day, those storms that come our way have not come to destroy us. But in fact, it has made us much wiser. It is there to push us, to move us, to progress us, to empower us, and to make us that much better people. So that if in the future we encounter those things again, we indeed can maneuver and we know exactly what we have to do. Folks, in every blackened cloud, there is a silver lining. And through every negative situation, there is a positive. And we must find those things that are most impactful to us, that is going to change our lives, that is going to transform us from within to out, and that is going to make us that much better. And we all have the power and the strength to do just that. So that is what we must do. We progress forward. Okay, so my highlights for the year 2017 are... Drum roll, please! Okay, as you guys know, I would have never made it to the drum line. So one of my major highlights in the year 2017, believe it or not, folks, believe it or not, was actually meeting Caleb of PYC Orchids. Now, you guys know he had traveled all the way from Virginia and vacationed here in Florida, and I was very privileged to be able to spend some precious time with him. You know, it's so refreshing when you meet someone for the very first time and you connect on so many different levels. If you guys would have witnessed how we were together, you would never have believed that we were meeting for the first time. You would have thought that we were like best of friends, like forever, ever, ever. And I have to tell you, even though he was just a little bit younger than me, and I was just a teeny weeny bit older than him, it was just so surprising and so amazing just how many passions and how many visions that we shared. So indeed, that was a time for me that I just really thoroughly enjoyed. We had a whole ton of fun, and it was a memory that will last a lifetime. And if you guys did not see that video, go ahead and click on the link right above, and you guys can witness the video for yourself. And what you seen on that video was exactly how we were in person. So Caleb, my little bro, you were one of the highlights of my year 2017. And I was very privileged and very happy to meet you. And another major highlight of year 2017 was being capable of meeting people from all over the world. Now, you guys know I do attend many different events, and throughout Florida, I've gone to orchid nurseries, orchid auctions, and even orchid shows. Actually, anything having to do with orchids, you may see me there. So you can imagine all of the people that I have the wonderful opportunity of meeting. Now, I have to tell you, it is such a wind beneath my wing when I meet people that actually follow my channel. And I get to hear your feedback, and I get to hear the positive comments of what you guys get out of my videos. Now, a lot of you guys tell me that I inspire you, but you guys have got to know that you indeed inspire me in so many ways that you would not even believe. So you guys mean so much to me, and you guys are also the highlight of my year. Now, the most incredible discovery that I encountered in the year 2017 was actually a growth method that I instated with my orchid just as a trial basis. But I have to tell you, the results were absolutely phenomenal, unbelievable, all that I could ever imagine and more. Now, what I did is I instated this method to try to see if I could get my orchids to bloom even more. And this especially worked with my Vandas. Of course, it did work with my other orchids, but I especially was able to see it incredibly in my Vandas. And many of you guys have also contacted me and let me know that you guys got the exact result that I did. And I was so happy that I was open-minded to this method, and that I actually decided to give it a try because it was so simple and the results were just absolutely incredible. I mean, it was something so little, so minute, yet had such a great impact. And the miracle lies within these miraculous fertilizer tea bags. Indeed. Now, if you guys did not see that video, please be sure to check it out. It's like right here, so that you guys can try it out as well. And I did give you a little bit of a roundabout method to make the tea bag, but you know what? You can do it so much easier. All you have to do is purchase these little bags at Party Favor stores or even online where you can get them like really, really cheap. Fill them up with slow release fertilizer. And then when you water your orchids, guess what? They also get watered as well every single time. Again, results phenomenal. I am just so happy that I was open-minded, always willing to try something at least once. And it is worth the risk, guys. Because yeah, no matter how preposterous it may sound, guys, if it works, oh my gosh, that could be like the total game changer. So indeed, it's worth a try, right? And it has absolutely been a game changer in the way that my orchids bloom. Again, especially in my Vandas, because my Vandas seem to be continuously all the time. Not a day goes by without something being in bloom. And many of you guys that were just as open-minded as I was that have tried it, I am so happy for you guys because it has also worked with phenomenal results for you guys as well. And that's the reward for being open-minded. And there you have it, folks. That is my orchid reflections for the year 2017. Now, I want to know exactly what was your orchid reflections for the year 2017. That's right. You and you and you and you and you and you have been challenged, because I firmly believe that there are so many things that we can learn from everyone's experiences, regardless to if they're positive or negative. There is always something we can learn. So I am so excited to see your Orchid Reflections Year 2017 video. Please share them with us. The more that we know, the more that we can grow. And if you decide to take on this challenge, which I know you're bold enough to do just that, right? Please be sure to let me know so that I can go ahead and compile a list of videos in my channel so that everyone can see your orchid reflections. And also, if you do it as well, make sure you hashtag it Orchid Reflections year 2017. And I do want to remind you guys, it is a new year. So I need you guys to get excited about it. I need you guys to get ecstatic about it because you only have one life. So live it to the fullest potential and capacity that you can live it. Indeed, I am wishing you a very happy, tremendous, successful new year. I'm wishing you love, joy, peace, and happiness, but not only in the new year, way beyond as well. As a matter of fact, all the days of your life, because you deserve it. Happy New Year, folks, and I do love you all. Mwah.